Hello and welcome to the 1875 Talk Show. I am your host, Luke, and I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's got me to 118 subs. Before I get to the video, please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified when a new video is released. Today I'm going to look at another Almajir.net article, BSH and the Great Wall of Silence. It's been 3 days since Paul Richardson and Maxi Lopez turned up at St Andrews to tell the world they'd exchanged contracts and were to finally become the next and to become the next owners of Birmingham City. While there's been fairly extensive reportings of their meetings with club's officials, the silence from Hong Kong has continued. I will admit that I am somewhat surprised that in the wake of so much publicity surrounding Richardson and Lopez rocking up at St Andrews, that there has been no word from BSH. I would have thought that they would have reached a point where BSH couldn't continue to remain silent. I think that's what really surprised a lot of people about this, the obstinate silence. The obstinate silence about how BSH have continued to just plundered on like nothing's going on. But one of the good things about the Richardson being so public in announcing that his consortium were exchanging contracts is that he was asked pertinent questions by the press. For example, when Brian Dick of Birmingham Mail asked Paul Richardson on the video that there was contractual obligations to sell the remainder of Birmingham City plc to his consortium, Richardson said, "We will be getting the remainder of the business, yet over 2.5 years." Richardson also confirmed Brian Dick's assertion that this agreement was legally binding. This represents a change of position from BSH on June 14th when they confirmed on the HKSE as of the date of this announcement the company has not entered into nor exchanged any agreement to dispose of its approximate 75% interest in BCP. BCP and the club remain subsidiaries of the company. If we are to take Richardson at face value, then BSH have entered into an agreement to dispose of 75% of interest in Birmingham City plc, and as such will need to confirm that to the stock exchange. Now, I'm not kind of up to date with how the HKSE works, so I'm unsure of their time limit. But as far as I've been made, as far as I'm aware, if they do not do an announcement, isn't that basically classic as insider trading? Because their share price is dependent on the news that goes around about the club, etc., etc. With all the news about a takeover, the share prices will eventually go up. And if they haven't told anyone about it, do you know what it might be just me. Where was I? In addition to this, it's considered best practice by Hong Kong listings to update shareholders in 21 days of news in an announcement which is pending. An example of this would be the disposal of Von Peck's 21.64% interest in Birmingham City plc. It has long past 21 days since we were told this, and one would hope that in the light of all the various news that has been swirling around here in the UK, that BSH would make an announcement to clarify things. Apparently, I'm not the only person who thinks so. Paul Richardson has been keen to tell people, including Dan Ivory Almajir, that he requested BSH to put out an announcement on Tuesday around the same time he arrived at the club to clarify and confirm matters, and that BSH declined his request. Does anyone remember that interview they did where BSH said they were going to be more open with the fans? Yeah, that lasted long, didn't it? In the interest of fairness, I have emailed BSH Company Secretary Robert Yam Piao Hang, again I apologise for massacring your name, to ask for a comment. Sadly, rather than answer my question or make any comment, BSH saw fit to email me a formulaic response stating the company mainly communicates via announcements to the stock exchange. So they don't communicate. Talk about missing the point, yeah, as an understatement. As a shareholder in BSH, I have got to admit that I'm disappointed in the lack of clarification surrounding this takeover, especially considering how volatile the share price has been as late. Understandable. With this in mind, I have been in contact with the Stock Exchange of Hong Kong over the last few weeks to ask them if they could push BSH to provide clarity on the situation. I believe Almajir did something similar a few weeks ago, and because no exclusivity was actually reached at that point, BSH turned around and said, well, nothing's been done. We'll update people when something's being done. If Richardson is to be taken at his word, which I see no reason why we shouldn't, then he's reached the point of exclusivity. So that should have at least had an announcement. It goes without saying that this would not only benefit. This would be not only a benefit for the shareholders but for the fans too. If things are as advanced as Richardson is saying, then I personally would like to think Richardson should also be pushing the HKSE to force BSH to say something. The lack of clarity doesn't do anyone any favours, and an announcement confirming that Richardson is in negotiations would help give substantial confirmation to this takeover and remove any possible worry from the minds of the fans. I would have to disagree with that last bit. I think no matter what we do, there's always going to be worry in the minds of the fans. I think that's just the way we are now. What's next? Well, in all fairness, we've had, 10, 11 years of absolute being dragged through the mill. So I'm not surprised there are some fans out there that are pessimistic no matter what happens. So it's purely understandable. What's next? Well, Paul Richardson, his consortium, speaks to officials at St Andrews and the training ground to help them hit the ground running. There is also so much they could do. There's only so much they could do until they officially get the word that they have control. Most of what remains for them appears to be regulatory hurdles now. Without confirmation from BSH on what is happening there, I don't want to make any assumptions on what regulatory approvals are needed from HKSE for at least the first part of the transaction to go through. On this side of the world, there is the EFL to deal with. There are basically two parts of what Richardson and his consortium need to do to get EFL approval. The first part is quite simple. The EFL will need to see proof that Richardson Consortium have the funds in place to run the club for at least a year, on top of what they are already paying for it. I am not an expert in high finance, but I would think proof of an escrow account with the required funds, 30 million or so, sitting in it should be enough. The second part is a bit trickier, the owners and directors test. There's been some confusion online as who would need to submit documents to the EFL for approval with regards to the test. Thankfully, EFL have their regulations available online, which include details of who needs to take the OADT. I have had a look myself, and it's bloody confusing. The owners and directors test is a bit of a misdemeanor because in reality the test is also applicable to people who are neither owners nor directors. The list of relevant people who need to take the test is quite extensive, and I think that it is an effort from the EFL to ensure that people can't hide behind a technicality to avoid taking the test for whatever reason. Effectively, anyone who has any form of control or decision making has to take the test. This means that not only people like Paul Richardson and Maxi Lopez would have to take the test, but also people like Matt Southall if he indeed is to become CEO. Interesting. Like any new appointments as CFO, COO, or managing director would have to take the test. The process could take 2 or 3 weeks to complete, as there is a lot of documents to be submitted. I would think that there may be time taking over some applications, like Matt Southall's, although it's been reported by The Athletic on Wednesday that they had seen a document that suggested EFL would not disqualify him as a relevant person at a club. Interesting. While patience isn't the strong suit of many Blues fans right now, I think at the moment it is something we all need to show. There's been a lot of rumour swirling around who is backing Richardson's consortium, who is looking to bring in, who might go out the door. Until the deal is confirmed, there are just rumours, and I think we should be careful not to get too hung up. The sooner official clarity is given, the better for all of us, because any remaining doubt will be swept away. With this in mind, I plan to continue putting pressure on BSH and HKSE to enforce their announcement to confirm the status of the takeover. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think Dan Ivory of Almajir.net has been, in my mind, one of the great forward pressers of open clarity and information about BSH and about any takeover or any really information about Birmingham City. I urge every single one of you to go over to WAB TV and listen to Meeting with the Mayor podcast. It's absolutely fantastic. He answers all the questions you'd want answered, and you get information that, I'll be honest, a lot of the information I didn't know. In that podcast, at one point, someone asked if he wanted a statue, and he said no. I think at the end of all this, we should all put together and get him a season ticket at the Blues. That being said, the way Blues have been performing recently, that would be more of a punishment than a blessing, I suppose. Let's wait until we improve. I think the problem we've got right now is the great silence that we're currently facing, and it's the same as what we've always lived. We've been with for the last 10 years, so this is nothing new. But sooner or later, things need to start improving. Just want to say thank you very much for every single one of you who subscribed. It's been absolutely fantastic. Please, if you haven't subscribed, I think 86% of viewers currently haven't subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. I cannot understate how much it helps the channel. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Okay, have a good day, guys. Bye, guys.